arguably one of the most common, if not the most common questions that I get amongst my clients who are working towards eating disorder recovery, particularly recovery from anorexia or a restrictive eating disorder, is, well, what if I gain too much weight? What if I lose control and go the total opposite end of the spectrum? And while I totally understand where that question is coming from, I really wanted to address that today. Now, there's an important thing that we have to talk about when it comes to eating disorder recovery, and that is that in treatment or whoever, we can try to guesstimate where your body's quote unquote goal weight should be, right? And everybody's usually given that. They're in treatment or they're wherever and they're told, okay, you need to get to X amount of weight. However, that's just based off of calculations or whatever equipment we have, like our metabolic test, our body composition, etc. We make the best kind of estimation that we can of where your body might naturally hang out. But it's exactly that, an estimation. Here's the thing. Your body has biological safeguards, which honestly are pretty cool when you think about it, that are trying to get you to a place of homeostasis, meaning where things are stable. And your body is going to do that naturally. And part of the process of recovery is really trusting that. So we can give you numbers all over the place based on whatever data that we have, but we still ultimately have to trust where your body naturally wants to be. Now, in the process of recovery, yes, there's a lot of physical healing that needs to go on, right? So if you were someone who is severely restricting your intake, there's a lot of things that could or could not have happened, right? And let's say that it was you started to lose some bone density and maybe you had a DEXA scan and we showed some osteopenia or osteoporosis, or you lost a lot of your lean mass and muscle mass, or your gut movement slowed down, or your hair started getting really brittle and falling out, or your skin started getting dull. I mean, all of these things, right? All of that is what your body is going to be working to repair while you're eating more and gaining weight and working through this process of recovery, right? And that's super, super important. And we want all of those things to basically be back to baseline, meaning that your hair is now growing and not falling out, your skin is more clear, your lean mass is improving, your fat mass is improving, your hormones, all of those things. All of those physical factors are super important. But we also have to remember the brain. Now, I've talked about this before. When you're restricting your intake, when you decrease your calories, whether or not that's intentional or unintentional, but in this case, it's intentional, right? You weren't taking in enough. Your body is not able to make as much carbohydrates and protein for that matter. And you need both of those to make serotonin. Serotonin is that happy neurotransmitter, right? And so everybody thinks of serotonin in the brain, but actually a lot of it's made in the gut, but I digress. So your body's not making as much serotonin because of your restriction. And what that led to was obsessive thoughts, particularly around food, anxiety, depression, slow gut movement, and a slew of things. So as you're taking in more, your body's also restoring those levels of serotonin. And so what we also have to remember is as much as your body might be changing, your brain is healing as well. And sometimes those hormones and those things going on in your brain are a little bit slower to catch up than your body. Your body is going to heal and prioritize all of these things in a great way. But we also have to get it so that anxiety and that obsession around food decreases as well. And if that means that during that process, you continue to gain a little bit of weight, that's okay. Now, I know that that's way easier said than done, and that's terrifying for some people. But again, we have to trust where your body naturally wants to be. And in some cases, you may gain a little bit more weight than your body's going to naturally hang out. But you have to think of that as part of this process of recovery. And what we can't do is start dictating recovery, right? And saying, oh, I'm only going to do it if, or I'm only going to do it when I can say that this, and this is going to happen, because that's not how that works. That's that eating disorder brain trying to take over and make it think that it has control over recovery, when ultimately the goal of recovery is to let go of that eating disorder's control and get back to a place where your body is happy and healthy. So ultimately, there's not really a such thing as gaining too much weight in recovery, because your body is going to naturally gain the weight that it needs to heal. And in that process, I know it's really challenging, but work with your clinicians, work with your therapist, your dietitian, your physician to really make sure that we're fueling your body well and working on trusting this process. You've got this. Hang in there. Guys, thanks so much for being here. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Please leave us any questions that you have in the comment section.